We had no marked reduction in productivity in the second term, even with the impeachment and everything else. We just kept on ginning stuff out. Why? They deserve a lot of credit for this, all of these people in the cabinet and staff, because I became convinced that this was an artificial thing. Everybody said, well, you know, you're not going to be around anymore. Nobody wants to deal with you. And everybody starts thinking about other things. We didn't do that. We used every State of the Union address to plan a specific, detailed agenda for the coming years. And then we just rammed it and we worked at it. Every one of us was committed to it, and people knew it. And as a consequence, we didn't suffer second-term drag. Let me just read you a small list of what was accomplished in 2000. I want to make a confession here. I'm doing this partly because I'm sick and tired of reading people saying, oh, if only that impeachment hadn't happened, think how much they could have gotten done. If only we hadn't lost the Congress in 94, we could have done more. You tell me how, given the Congress we had, we could have done more of this. Look, in 2000, we repealed the Social Security earnings test. We passed this massive lands legacy bill, and when I finished, we had set aside more land in the continental United States, lower 48, than any presidents except Theodore Roosevelt in the history of the United States. We had the major initiatives in Africa, as I mentioned, the Africa Trade Bill. We had the Big Debt Relief Bill. We had the New Markets Initiative. We got China into the World Trade Organization and set it up. We had a huge expansion in child care. We doubled the number of people in after school. I didn't even mention this. We passed something called Plan Colombia, which gave $1 billion to the Colombians and their Andean neighbors, where 1/3 of Colombia was then in the hands of the narco-traffickers and their terrorist supporters. And today, and I want to thank President Bush for continuing to support this, today we have a big drop in cocaine production, a bigger drop in opium production, and 13,000 guerrillas have laid their arms down and rejoined civil society because of Plan Colombia. That happened in 2000. Nobody had ever done anything like that before. We succeeded in sequencing the human genome, which we had spent lots of money on. We set all that land aside. 2000, when we did the Vietnam and the Jordan trade agreements, we passed a school feeding program with $300 million that offered poor children in poor countries a good meal, but they had to come to school to get it, and enrollments around the world went up by 6 million because of that. And in 2000, perhaps my favorite program, which I have intentionally not mentioned till now, AmeriCorps, the National Service Program, where young people got credit for college for working in their communities, reached a milestone. 200,000 people had served by 2000, more in 6 years of AmeriCorps than in 40 years of the Peace Corps. Now the number is over 450,000. So that's what happened in 2000, in an election year, over a year after the whole impeachment thing was over. Why? Because these people who worked for me had a plan. We had a strategy. We had a meeting. We organized everything around the State of the Union, and then we executed.
Mr. President, we think it's long overdue that you become an alumnus of Hofstra University. President William Jefferson Clinton, as the 42nd President of the United States, you have shown an extraordinary commitment to promoting equality and economic opportunity at home and around the world. You presided over an unprecedented era of prosperity through economic expansion, investments in education and technology, legislative reform, and job creation. Through the establishment of the Clinton Foundation, you have worked tirelessly to bring quality health care to those in need around the world, to build international partnerships, and to raise awareness about important global issues. For your many extraordinary achievements, and on behalf of our Board of Trustees, we are honored to bestow upon you the degree Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa.
I'm trying to give people a way to think